Hey, how's it going, Mike and Terry? I'm happy you made some time in your schedule to sit down with me and have some discussion about um, the last, 9 or 10 years you've been using Theraphi. I think, if I remember correctly, you guys are like one of the oldest practitioners of, or somebody who utilizes the Theraphi technology within a clinical setting. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, we've
Hi,
been,
Brenda.
yeah, we were one of the, I think we were number 11 on the list
Number
to get
11 on. Yeah,
Therapy, and it took 6 or 8 months to actually get it from the time we ordered it. So things have
cool.
improved since then.
Yeah, production is a little different.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's well over 800 units out there in the world at this stage now. So yeah, that was early adopters, and yeah, Callie mentioned that I should sit down and talk with you because you have some amazing stories, and you're actually doing some really cool complementary modality work when it comes to helping people utilize Therapy as an integral part of their healing process. And yeah, I was just hoping you can maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and what you guys actually do.
Sure. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do it.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Terry Rowland. This is my husband, Mike Rowland. We're in Kelowna, BC, in the southern part of the valley. Um, yeah, we bumped into Paul, a very internationally well-known author, Jean Manning, who Paul knows very well. Bumped into Paul at a conference in northern Idaho, I believe it was. And she came home. She lives not far from us, and she said, "I met this really cool guy. He's an inventor, and he's invented this device that heals bodies. Trying to get him to bring it out. If I can get him to do that, would you like to come?" And I said, "Absolutely." So here she phones me back a couple of weeks later, and she said, "Okay, Paul is coming down with Theraphi, and we're booking appointments at my house, and he's going to give a little presentation." So the very first time Theraphi came out into the world, I was there and had an absolutely amazing experience. I was born with a crooked spine, and chronic pain is my earliest memory. And I went into this thing for 5 minutes. I mean, we didn't have protocols, we didn't have any idea of what to do with this thing. I went into it for 5 minutes, and I came out, and 50% of my pain was gone. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what is this thing? How does this work? And Paul was pretty tight-lipped at that point, and I said, "Paul, how does this work?" And he's going, well, he wasn't
That's about right.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, it was brand new, and he was not sure how to present it. So that changed my life. I wrote the very first testimonial for Therapy, actually. And so when he said, "I'm going to get these things ready for sale," I thought, I really want one of these. I can't be the only person on the planet that this thing makes a difference for in the level of their health. So Mike, I met him at a Therapy experience. That was the second or third time Paul brought it out. I think
Yeah.
maybe the third time, in a town north of here. And Mike and I got to know each other, and I said, "I really want one of these things." And he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." And he goes, "Good, I ordered you one." Oh, okay, that's great. So that was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
We've been working from home since then. We have a dedicated space in our house for using Therapy. We're really laid back. It's a very, very calm, safe space for people to come to. We have a pyramid that we put into our Therapy room. So there's a 5 ratio pyramid that people lie in while they're in Therapy. So we added an extra layer
Wow.
with it. It's a copper and stainless steel pyramid. It's about 8 feet tall. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
that
So
was something Paul had wanted to do. And so we kind of took over that part of it and been selling pyramid kits since that point. It's been about 6 or 7 years.
oh wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. So there's no, Paul's always told me, you don't want to have any metal in the field or around it. So how do you reconcile that idea or concept with using the geometry of a pyramid that's obviously a pretty dense metal within close proximity to the machine?
Well, I just asked Paul if it was a good idea. He said, "Give it a try."
Nice.
And
Experiment
so,
away.
yeah, and we've had it increase the results we get from Therapy, or the response of people has been really good from that. So we've just left it in.
Wow.
I mean, a pyramid's an energy generator all unto itself.
Sure.
And the copper is conducting the energy in the field. It's not detracting from the energy in
Mhm.
the field. I mean, it's just a structure, a framework. It's not dense or solid or anything like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and there was an immediate change, an immediate bump in the responses we were getting with
Wow.
ourselves and with our clients.
Wow, that's awesome. Is it so is it an kind of a copper alloy, or is it steel on the inside and it's copper plated on the outside of the pyramid?
It's solid copper, except for the corners and the peak are made out of stainless steel
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
because copper's too soft to use on the corners and the peak.
We tried.
We tried that
It
first.
Yeah.
was a little too soft.
Yeah, and so we moved to stainless steel, and it's a 3/4 inch copper pipe that goes in it.
Wow. Okay, that helps. Thanks for clarifying that in my mind. I'm like trying to visualize how this thing looks, and we'll have to get some pictures. We'll see if we can maybe put in the video notes, and people can actually see what that looks like.
Picture, yeah.
I'd never heard of that, and that's super cool. I'm super interested in that. So have you used these pyramids from the beginning when you first started? Has this been kind of all of your results over the last several years has been with this kind of multiple modality of using the pyramid with the Theraphi?
We did about 3 years without the pyramid, 2.5, 3 years, something like that. So we've had it in there for nearly 6 years. Yeah, and it's pretty nice.
Yeah. So everybody's subjective experience is like noticeably different. People that have been using it kind of before and after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We were
Wow.
trying it out, having little guinea pigs. What did you think before? What did you think after? And without, there has been nobody say it's better without. It's better with.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with what you guys are doing outside of like the pyramid geometry and everything, you guys, Callie was telling me that you focus on like trauma healing and kind of helping kind of go real deep with people, just physical but also emotional trauma. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Um, I was introduced to Theraphi. We were running it, and then I was introduced to two very important men on this planet, besides Paul Harris, Dr. Gabor Mate and Dr. Stephen Porges, who both are working on trauma from different aspects. Dr. Gabor Mate is from Vancouver, BC, and he had done addictive medicine downtown Eastside Vancouver and understanding the roots of addiction. So he teaches a year-long training in that, which I certified in 2020. Yeah, started in 2019 and certified in 2020. And it is a talk therapy with also a very body-based somatic experiencing aspect, which is very impactful on people really understanding the roots of their trauma. So I started doing that, getting really great results. But you finding out that people who have been traumatized, they have a lot of defense because their vagus nerve is quite dysregulated.
Right.
So the world to them seems offensive, so defense comes up. So with using Theraphi sessions, either in person or remote, we do remote Theraphi as well. We would do sessions to begin with Theraphi and then move into the compassionate inquiry sessions with people in that healing space, that their defenses are down, and using the frequency of my voice to help people walk through the deep roots of their trauma. So combining Theraphi with compassionate inquiry, we got even better results than just straight compassionate inquiry. About a year after I finished my training with Gabor Mate, through him I was introduced to Dr. Stephen Porges, a clinical researcher from the U.S., and he had brought to the world in 1968 the polyvagal theory, which has been a very important advent to the healing of this planet. And what he's teaching is how do we get access to the vagus nerve, which is a very important nerve in our body, the longest nerve in our body, and it affects everything we do inside and out, from the head down and the body up. And he has brought to the world two musical modalities that help to regulate the vagus nerve, finding homeostasis in a lasting, manageable way. We can actually work with the vagus nerve through these musical modalities to get the vagus nerve to be adequately functioning, which then improves our overall health. Instead of being in survival mode, we're moving into thriving mode.
Right.
So it's all frequency based. There's two different protocols. One is called the Safe and Sound protocol, The other is the Rest and Restore protocol, which I'm certified in both. And we use 5 hours of music in each protocol. The music is very different with each protocol, and there's a little bit different outcomes with each. And so we thought, well, this is frequency healing at its core. This is musical intervention. So what if we combine Theraphi with the music? So we're doing that. We do mini sessions, 15-minute mini sessions before we start the listening sessions, and then move into the listening. And again, the trajectory of healing in people adding Theraphi has just been astronomical. The life-changing results we see with compassion and inquiry, the Safe and Sound protocol, the Rest and Restore protocol, life-changing results.
Yeah. So you're integrating Theraphi prior and then going into the sound therapy as a secondary. So it's like priming the body. That's interesting because
That
a lot.
synergy, that wonderful synergy that Theraphi provides.
I like that human aspect of it too, because a lot of when you talk about the vagal nerve stimulation, you see a lot of these electrical stim devices that people are using them on their neck these days, and you know, who knows what frequency they're modulating at, and all of this kind of stuff. But
Yeah, and that's what Stephen is really about. Is we're living in this body. The vagus nerve is, it's been described as everything, everywhere, all at once. It has that much of an impact. So letting the body find its way to regulation through the music is the perfect way to approach it. It's not electronic. It's not an external stimulation. It's an internal experience, which Theraphi is as well.
and
Very much an internal experience.
well, that's kind of what I appreciate about Theraphi as a electrotherapy instrument compared to like a lot of these multi-wave oscillator circuits, a lot of these think biocharger, these things that are like they're just like when you're in the field, it's if you're like calm and centered, it's jarring. It's very jarring, and it's probably obviously jarring at the cellular level. But you know, Theraphi, I've always been impressed because it's so quiet and smooth. But you start to feel the charge build up in the circulation, all that kind of stuff. And for me, like music as a modality for sympathetic resonance entrainment makes a lot more sense than, you know, something that's super aggressive and you're just zapping the body and like trying to get a quick fix with a 2 minute, you know, well, which, you know, obviously there people are getting metrics and some results with that. But yeah, it seems kind of more coherent or harmonious, I guess I would say, the way you're approaching it. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
The most common response we get from people who experience a Theraphi session is that they feel really relaxed and calm and peaceful. So if we can get people into that space before we apply a different modality, they're more receptive to it.
And better outcomes after the fact.
Relaxation's the name of the game. You study Qigong or when
Gateway to healing.
I know it really is. And, you know, I was thinking about what you were talking about as far as like this kind of like trauma consciousness that people have as far as like, you know, how they perceive the external world these days. It's definitely, there's a lot of angles and aspects that are affecting people and their vagus nerve and their nervous system, the autonomic nervous system in general. And it's constant and it's all the time. And
It's
that's,
bombarded, yeah.
it reminds me of like when I did a lot of dedicated Tai Chi training for a number of years. And, you know, the whole idea was like, how relaxed can you be under stress? You're holding one-legged postures. You're standing there for, you know, minutes on end in certain postures, and your body gets tense and you start to feel that nervous system. It's like training out that stress response to that fight or flight response. So,
Tai Chi's amazing for the vagus nerve. I did 8 years of Tai Chi, Dallas Tai Chi.
yeah.
I didn't know about vagus nerve then, but in hindsight, it's like, oh, that's what was going on.
That's what they were doing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's cool. So so we have the pyramid idea. We have like the vagal nerve. We have like, you know, the working through trauma. What are there other modalities you guys are using to get the results that you guys have been seeing over the years?
Those are the main ones. I have done herbal work. I've done other things as well, but right now it's kind of our perfect trifecta, I like to call it, between Theraphi, compassionate inquiry, and the musical interventions. Yeah, we are getting lasting, life-changing results for our clients.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd love to hear some of what you've experienced being like somebody who's been literally doing it the longest.
One of our very first clients, Bud, his sister was somebody that we knew, and she phoned us. I don't think we'd had our Theraphi more than a week, And she said, my brother's in a really bad way, can you help him? And we said, okay, so what's the deal? And he had become an opioid addict as a result of a neck surgery. And he had done 20 years of opioids, and he decided he was done. He wanted to be finished with that, and self-withdrew from his opioid use. And he was day 100 when he showed up on our doorstep, and he was done. He wasn't sleeping, he wasn't eating. His digestive system was an absolute disaster. He was suicidal. He was finished.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, we've got this amazing device. Let's see what we can do for this guy. So we had him come twice a day, every day for 10 days. This guy had not worked for 25 years because of the surgery and then the ensuing opioid addiction.
Yeah.
At the end of the 10 days, he went back to work.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we phoned Kelly and Paul. We're going, you wouldn't believe it. You won't believe this testimonial. They're going, that is a testimonial. He started sleeping by the second day. His digestive system completely settled down, which in hindsight I now understand is deep vagal dysregulation.
Yeah.
He could hold down food. He was detoxing, but in a natural way, and then building all that beautiful energy in his system from Theraphi. His body started to heal. I mean, we have before and after pictures of this guy, and you would not recognize the man. He sent us a photo with a suit on. He had a suit on and a tie, and he goes, I'm going for a job interview. Within 2 weeks of him starting Theraphi.
Wow. That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, it was a
Wow.
night and day change for him. It was a great start for us. It's like, yes, this is why we got this.
Yeah, talk about validation. I mean, I've heard a lot of testimonials. That is, yeah, his digestive tract and liver and autonomic nervous system was shutting down.
Yeah.
And then 10 days.
Yeah, and he was off the opioids and living a much, much better life without the pain, without all the attended add-ons that you get from drug usage. I'm not judging him. It's how he figured out how to survive.
Right.
What a life-changing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. How are you going to top that story?
Well, we have hundreds of stories.
Yeah.
We've probably had about 1,500 clients or so try Theraphi and other modalities. So we've got lots of positive feedback. We have on our website, we have lots of testimonials from our clients. And every so often we just have to go through and remind ourselves where we came from and where our clients came from.
That's
One
awesome.
thing that we have noticed through sheer observation is that some of the people that get the best results with Theraphi are people who have brain injury.
Yeah.
So whether that's concussion, repeated concussion, traumatic brain injury, stroke, injury to the brain, however that happens, through surgery, whatever happens, these people get the best results. Theraphi allows the brain to heal in a way. I'm not making a claim here, but there is something that happens to that brain and the nervous system, spinal cord, through neuroplasticity that Theraphi affords that you just don't find anywhere else. We had a guy who had a motorcycle accident. He had a concussion with the long-lasting effects from it. He had broken his leg, concussion. He had visual disturbances, stuttered. He had lost use of his right hand to a certain extent. All of these things. He went in for one Theraphi session, and he came out, and he said, oh my God, my brain is clear. He didn't stutter after that. All the memory issues were gone. His visual disturbances were gone, and the leg that he had chronic pain in, the one that was broken in the accident, the pain was done.
So it quieted the signaling in the body.
Yeah, and what we're finding happen is that people who have been shocked, we've all had shocking experiences, whether that's emotional or physical, and the shock just doesn't seem to completely resolve, and Theraphi affords that. When we're in shock, we are in survival mode. There's nothing healing happening there. It is about pure survival. So if we can resolve that shock, the body will automatically shift back into healing mode. And we have seen client after client after client that shock resolves, and then the body just goes. It takes on all that wonderful energy of Theraphi. It doesn't, there's no holds bars on where it puts it,
Hmm.
and then the healing just happens. We had another client, she'd had 7 car accidents and a different injury in a different area of the body with each of the 7 accidents. And after she'd been trying Theraphi for a couple of weeks, she said, you know, I think what I'm seeing happen is I have a session and I go home. And she said that my shoulder was really sore last night after my session, as the body is attending further healing there. And then the next session, she said, and then it was my diaphragm where I had soft tissue damage. So the shoulder was number 7, 7th accident. The diaphragm was number 6. And she went back in reverse order, every injury from 7th accident to the 1st accident, and completed the healing. So that negative entropy we talk about,
Hmm.
as part of the function of the field, that time reversal,
Hmm.
literally happened.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
And every single hangover effect that she had was resolved.
That's interesting, and it totally makes sense. I mean, our brain is high. I mean, our nervous system and brain are very electrical. It's our most electrical, or I mean, everything's voltage mediated in the body, of course,
Yeah.
but especially the brain and the nervous system. And yeah, the phase conjugation aspect of being able to like revert back to the highest level of order or coherence at the cell memory is pretty substantial. And yeah, it's incredible to actually see, because that's one of the demonstrable aspects of Theraphi is like you can actually see time reverse wave. You don't have to have any training or understanding of physics. Like the light bulb basically tells you and shows you the directional longitudinal waves and what's happening in that field effect, which is really, really cool. And you know, it reminds me of something that I've seen back in the past with there used to be this product called incubated egg extract, which is kind of like gets closer to kind of like natural stem cell production type stuff. And I remember having an injury that I remember in reverse order feeling that out, like the nervous system was kind of mapping those old injuries and where there's inflammation in the body and kind of reworking on that. It seems like it's cool that you can use an electrical instrument to have a similar effect. We could do it with like, you know, exosomes or stem cells, but just having something where you lay in a field and let the body modulate itself is pretty profound, I think.
It's not just a device.
Yeah, I know. It's that's the thing. It's like when you start talking about some of the higher mind function and the consciousness aspects of it, it's pretty profound what he's created by and large. Do you have any experiences with people, not so much on the trauma level, but you know, consciousness enhancement and just any kind of like aspect of like self-development? And because I hear a lot of feedback from like practitioners, they do non-local and local treatments, and people are actually having these abilities to where if they're like a meditator, they can go deeper. If they do like, I don't know, far out stuff like astral projection, they're able to kind of sink in deeper. Do you guys see that in your practice?
Yes. Yeah, that's nothing unusual for us at all. We've had people who've used Theraphi as they've been trying to start a new business. And so they're chugging along, they're getting things done, and then they hit a roadblock. And then they come for a Theraphi session, just open themselves up to the infinite possibility of the field. And then that roadblock was resolved within 24 hours, every single solitary time. So that momentum of the forward movement, it's not just about going into the past, it's bringing the future to us as well.
Mm.
And we've had lots of people who have experiences like that. We had one client who, she's quite elderly, and she said her very first session she went into Theraphi, and at that point we had people sitting, she was sitting down, and she said her mother and father, who were both very long since passed, her mother sat on her right side, her father sat on her left side, and she said we worked out all the stuff that we didn't get a chance to work out before they passed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have lots of otherworldly experiences as well with clients.
Kind of what happens when you open up a portal, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So what is the kind of understanding or, you know, synergy, I guess, with the pyramid? Because that's fascinating. I've never heard that piece before. Can you tell us a little bit more about how what the thought process is and what the, actual manifested experience becomes that's enhanced in whatever way with using a pyramid with the Theraphi?
Yeah, well, Paul had built a pyramid and set up his Theraphi outside in his yard, a fairly large pyramid. That was kind of his test example. And it had been a cloudy day, and there was a storm coming in, and they were thinking, uh-oh, Theraphi's outside, this isn't very great. And they turned on Theraphi, and they watched the clouds part over the tip of the pyramid and go around like this. Yeah, so that says a
What?
lot right there. And then and they had done that, I think, a couple of times, and then a hole was created in his yard, and he's got an artesian spring in his yard, and the hole opened up and the water started flowing.
Wait, has this the cloud thing? Is that repeatable? He said he's done it multiple times? That's wild.
He had set up he'd done this experiment with the pyramid outside just to see what had happened, but
Yep.
that cloud parting thing was the first time they set it up. That happened. So I mean, the Russian scientists who did all of the experiments on the phi ratio pyramid, or Nubian pyramid, or golden mean pyramid, or the Russian pyramid, it's
Yep.
all the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
He did 10 years of experiments, and his results are irrefutable. So that's what Paul thought we should, try this with pyramids. So our pyramid, Mike worked out all the angles, and we found a really cool welder to make our pyramid kits. And it's a phi ratio pyramid. It fits perfectly with Theraphi.
Yeah.
So it's about 8 feet tall. That we have a hand-blown glass ball hanging just under the peak of the pyramid, and it's in constant motion. It never stops, and it's not because of air movement. It's because the phi ratio pyramid draws in universal energy from the peak and spirals it down to the bottom. So it's that
Yeah.
movement of the energy that keeps that ball moving. It moves 24 hours a day.
Wow. And does it have a capstone on it, like a traditional kind of plated capstone?
Yeah, the peak, it's not, the peak isn't solid, it's just a peak.
Just a
But
peak.
yeah, it's the capstone. So yeah, that's what we've integrated with that. So you've got the vortexes coming in from the tubes, that meet at that still point, and we've just added a third vortex. That's all we've done.
Well, I guess technically that would kind of be a fourth vortex because you have the coil itself, torsion field, separate the charge, and then the two, and then the one at the top. So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
our coil is outside of the pyramid. We don't have it inside the pyramid.
Oh.
We've just got it outside of.
Is
Yeah.
that how you recommend setting it up for anybody who's like interested in a pyramid?
That's what Paul suggested, so if that's what the man says, that's what we do.
Fair enough.
Is that.
Yeah. We built this new Theraphi bed, which is basically like no metal and, just cherry wood and has the things, and just wondering if it could like be mounted around that, but still keeping the coil off the ground and underneath the table close to the body and spine.
That'd probably be a good question for Paul.
Yeah. I'll ask him about that.
Yeah.
That's cool. And now, of course, I wish you wouldn't have told me that because I'm the type of person I'm like, let's go out in a thunderstorm and fire this thing up. Let's go.
Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, no, I want to try that. I love those stories. That's far out. That's awesome. So yeah, it sounds like you're doing really, really awesome work. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of chat about? I mean, it sounds like you just have such a rich history. I mean, I'll put in links to people and go check out your website and read the testimonials because I mean, you could probably talk all day of similar stories and.
I could talk all year about Theraphi.
Yeah.
I'm very tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do remote Theraphi. We worked with a guy in Trinidad, and he was so excited and so happy with the results. He bought a Theraphi, so there's no distance limitation with the remote. We work with people who have pets because there's such a close bonded relationship between people and pets.
Mhm.
So if people say, I want my dog to be Therapied, and we said, that's great, but you go first, and then we do the pet right afterwards.
Mhm.
So both parties are getting that regulation and that healing space. Pardon me. We have worked some with children, not as much as we would like, and kids respond so incredibly well to Theraphi. 1 or 2 sessions is all they really need.
Mhm.
They're done. We had a little guy, he was 8, and he'd had an appendix surgery. And he was suffering from pain in his abdomen that the doctors could not make any sense out of whatsoever. He had chronic bloating in his belly. They actually were thinking about going back in and looking to see if they'd left anything inside of him. His mom brought him for 2 Theraphi sessions, completely resolved it. It had interrupted his bladder function. It was interrupting with his sleep function. 2 sessions, completely resolved. Kids have no ability to fight what Theraphi does. They just take it all in and off they go, happy little clams.
The gal with the rider.
Oh yeah, a client of ours, her niece lived in Bermuda, actually, and she had injured her knee, and she was also 8 or 10 years old. And she was walking like a 80-year-old woman. She was hobbling. This knee was chronically painful. They had x-rayed and x-rayed and x-rayed, thinking there must be a hairline fracture in that knee, and they couldn't find anything. And this girl played soccer. She was a horseback rider, and she was a dancer. And she'd had to stop everything because this knee would not heal. So her niece came to Kelowna for a visit, and she said, well, let's get her to try Theraphi. What have we got to lose? Gave her 1 Theraphi session. She went home. She slept for 18 solid hours. She got up the next morning and she said, look. And she did her little tap dance routine in her aunt's kitchen. Done. Sorted.
Wow. That's unreal. And I think there's kind of a field effect too that, I mean, with you guys doing it in the same space so long and that running and charging up, just being in that space, even when it's not on, let alone going in there and get that compounded effect, probably has something to do with it. I've noticed that in my own experience, having one in my house. It just seems like I'll just run it by itself without even laying in it just to charge up the space. And it seems to have an accumulative effect, which a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their minds around. And speaking of having people wrap their minds around stuff, do you ever get anybody because when it comes to the non-local stuff, I mean, people can rationalize in their own head, I'm laying in this field, I can feel it, it's happening. Do you ever have people that are kind of skeptical, and rightly so, because there's a lot of instruments out there that claim scalar, claim this, claim that. And obviously there's just a lot of bogus stuff out there. I mean, if we're being real about it, do you get people that are kind of come with that mindset, but then have their mind changed after the fact?
Yes. Some people, I mean, we have a lot of remote clients, and we've got one guy, he comes down, he drives 14 hours one way to come down for Theraphi sessions, and he'll come for a week at a time, and then go home and he'll come back a couple months later. And we do remote sessions with him, but he prefers in person.
Right.
But here's a great remote testimonial. My oldest daughter was born without 3D vision. Took us quite a while to figure that out. So she only had 2D vision. So if you look at a picture in a book and it's flat, that's how the world looked to her.
Wow.
We weren't sure she was going to get to have a driver's license. We had to do a lot of patching with that eye, whatever. She got a license. And she lives out of town. So she's only ever had remote Theraphi. She got her 3D vision back. So whatever complication happened during gestation that didn't develop for her, she has got her 3D vision.
Again, the nervous system. Yeah.
The nervous system, yes. So, some people don't want to try remote. We have clients that are happy to do remote. We got a lady in Ontario right now who does a lot of Theraphi and is having wonderful experiences with it. And she also does Reiki work. And she went to her Reiki person, and the Reiki person was doing some work. And she goes, I have to stop. And she said, why? And the Reiki practitioner said, there is an energy at work in your body that I have no idea what it is, but it's very active and it's healing. And she goes, what else are you doing? And this woman said, Theraphi.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it had been well over a week since she'd had her last Theraphi session. And this woman was able to detect that, yeah, there is something happening in this body and I can't compete with it and I'm just going to let it do its work.
Right.
That was just recently we found that out. It's like, oh, that's a first. We haven't heard that one before.
Right. Yeah, it's more and more people are open-minded to that. I mean, I remember back in the day, like, late 90s, early 2000s, like being into like the radionic scene and all that kind of stuff, and non-local stuff. And a lot of that is kind of kind of come full circle because like it's still kind of, you know, esoteric in a lot of circles. Like a lot of people are like, you know, what is this stuff? But it's, you know, people that use Theraphi, there's these kind of mass produced kind of products where, you know, they beam energy to your phone. But you know, having energy specific to you. I mean, it's you in the field. It's your imprint, your informational field that's being, you know, worked on. And that's one unique thing that I've seen in the Theraphi that you don't really see anywhere else, is how it like responds to the body. It's like an electro adaptogen. It kind of regulates whatever's in the field towards that balance point, that 0 point. And I think that's really unique. Where there's like a lot of non-remote stuff that people try and they get a bad taste in their mouth because they don't feel or notice anything long term, or, you know, it's really interesting to hear these kind of real world experiences, because I think I spoke with a couple other practitioners and they alluded to, you know, doing the non-local stuff. I'm like, okay, people are getting more into this these days, like, because, you know, obviously Theraphi is an expensive instrument and it's obviously highly valuable and hard to make and all handmade and all this kind of stuff. So little hard to, you know, have them in every place, even though there's like 800 plus of them in the world now. It's still, most people can't get to a physical location. So having the ability to at least experience the energy consciously remotely is really cool, I think.
We had a client who, he was in Australia, and he got bucked off a horse, and he had a severe compound fracture of his thumb. Pardon me. And they were waiting to do surgery, and he was in severe pain. And his sister, who was a client of ours, contacted us, and she said, anything you can do for his thumb while I was waiting for surgery. And we said, yep. Went and fired up the machine right away. He felt it straight away. The pain virtually disappeared, so they could do the surgery and do the repair. And he also had an opioid addiction from a previous surgery, and he did not want to go back down that road. So we just made an agreement to do Theraphi on him once a day, every day for 10 days. He never used any pain medication for that surgery, and the thumb healed in record time.
Yeah. I'm hearing that more and more as far as the pain aspect. I've never really personally experienced that because I always just feel super relaxed. Like it's the best power nap ever. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that, so people actually get anti-inflammatory effects. I mean, without calling it that, obviously, but you know, they're actually getting pain mitigation at real time when they're in the field, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you know, talk about skeptics. We had this guy whose son was coming to us for a diagnosis of an early onset arthritis. And he said to his dad, you need to come and check out this thing. So his dad came, and he was the biggest skeptic we have ever had. And he said, you guys are a cult. I bet you wear tinfoil hats. Suck my brain.
What are you doing to my son? Yeah.
You know, he was
Yeah, of course.
doubting Thomas. And I said, okay, give it one go. If it's not for you, it's not for you. We're all okay with that. So he said, okay. So we went in there. We did the half-hour session. That's typically what our sessions are, is half an hour. We did the half-hour session, and when I went back in the room, he is just waiting for me. His eyes were on the door, and I walked in, and I said, hey, how's it going? And he said, what is this thing? And I said, why? And he said, I've had a traumatic brain injury 12 years prior to him showing up here. He had been hit by a car as a pedestrian and had a traumatic brain injury and had been suffering, you know, the horrors of that, the daily migraines, all those things. And he said, this thing found my head the second you turned it on. You need to explain to me what happened. And he came every day for 2 months trying to figure out what this device was and how this could possibly work. The migraines turned to headaches. The headaches turned to just minor discomfort in the head. He got off all of his medication, and he brought his wife to see us about 3 months after he had started. And she walked in the house and she started to cry. And I said, what's happening? And she said, I wanted to thank you. You found my husband. He's been missing for 12 years since this car accident. He's back.
Yep. It's, it's interesting how it highlights things. It's because it's kind of similar. People are really familiar at this point with like PEMF, and if you take a high impulse wave PEMF and put it over somebody, it'll highlight inflammation. They'll feel it more in real time. But of course, Therapy is kind of an inverse technology. It's like dielectric implosion versus capacitive discharge, kind of with the magnetic field. So it's interesting that it has that yin and yang, where it's like it is actually, you know, highlighting stuff that's going on where it's needed. So the body, it just goes to show the body is intelligent, and it basically preferentially decides what to do with the coherence, the voltage, the electrostatic charge, the longitudinal energy, and the scalar potential. Because really, we're given the potentiality for the body to
You say,
heal
here
itself.
you go.
Yeah.
What do you want from that? And that's with working with intention with the sessions is so important. We have people set an intention.
Yep. Exactly.
But having said that, we have people who have set their intention. I can think of two great stories. A young man who had vaccine injury from the polio vaccine, and it absolutely destroyed his digestive system. And he had spent, at that point, about 25 years trying to get his guts working again. So he went into Theraphi with an intention. It was not about his guts. And he phoned 24 hours after. He had 2 Theraphi sessions on the same day. It wasn't even our Theraphi. We didn't have one yet. He was using Paul's. And he phoned. He said, "Is it possible that Theraphi fixed my guts?" And I said, "Yeah, why? What's happened?" He goes, "My guts are working for the first time in 25 years after 2 sessions." That was not his intention, but the wisdom of the body and the wisdom
Yeah.
and the consciousness of the Theraphi field unspokenly worked that out, and that was the result that he got.
Yeah, it's like an intention amplifier, but also it doesn't really need that because the body has its own blueprint and informational field, and
Right. I mean, and Callie brought those wonderful words to the Theraphi field of the blueprint of perfection. She started saying that very early into the Theraphi exposure. She's been a beautiful adjunct into the Theraphi world too. Her and Paul are an amazing couple together. And that's what Theraphi is doing, is that resetting to that original blueprint. Before life happened, before injury, before accident, before insult, time reverses us back to that structured, ordered self. On
Yeah.
all levels. This is way beyond physical. It's
Absolutely.
mental, emotional, spiritual, electrical, energetic, on and on and on. So whatever level is out of balance, it finds that balance, that harmony, and then the healing is infinite from there.
right? Yeah. So it defrags the system and like calibrates it, shuts down the computer for a minute so it can reset.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, you just go over there for a minute. I got a better idea.
Yeah. This is like that divine intelligence we're a part of, and we like to think we're outside and, removed from all that is, but it's all those points and time space are connected, by and large.
Exactly.
And
So that's, as an operator, I don't interfere with that. I get them in there. I do a little meditation at the beginning just to get them out of the head, more focused and centered in their body. They set their intention, and then that's it. I step out, and they can have whatever their experience is going to be. And then they can tell me about it if they want when they're finished their session. And you always get the feedback, because people are constantly amazed at what happens every
Yeah.
session, because no two
Yeah.
sessions are the same for any one person or any 2 people. There's similarities, that peace, relaxation, that deep sense of being back in their bodies, which is one of the aspects of Theraphi that we love. We're so disconnected from our bodies.
right.
Get people back here, living here, trusting this amazing thing that we live in. After that, the reports just keep coming.
So how do you deal with, because we have a lot of, other practitioners that watch this kind of content. How do you guys deal with the big questions like, everybody asks, what does Therapy do? Like, how is this going to benefit me? Because they're so conditioned to this like simplex, like, this is my problem. How is this going to be the solution to my problem. And obviously with health and wellness and consciousness, it's a lot more, always usually more nuanced than that. So how do you guys approach, communicating what it does with, doing it justice, because it is very like complex and unique and in the electromedicine space, but how do you ground that and simplify it for people in a way that like makes sense?
I usually start with, I don't know what it's going to do for you because I don't. I can't possibly know. But then when we explain the facets of the field, then the entropy, the centripetal, the biophotonic, all those things, and just explain that it's helping their bodies to find the natural state they were. Most people who come here are a little bit more out of the box anyway. They're
Sure.
looking for a different experience. They've got a more expanded awareness of different aspects of life and living. We just allow them to find their experience in Theraphi. You go in, you have this session, then tell me what you discover about yourself. And it's all levels, it's all the time, and people can spend 25 minutes telling me about their session. Oh, there was this, and oh, then there was that, and oh, that was so cool. Some people are speechless after a session. They've just been so
I've seen that.
altered. They don't have the words to tell me, and a lot of time I find there's a 12 to 18 hour lag between the session before people can verbalize it, because they're out of the chaos and into the calm, and they really don't want to leave there, and I don't want them to. Let them hang out there for as long as they can, and then they find the words to tell us what the experience was. So it is a hard conversation, and after 9 years, I still sometimes struggle to be able to tell people, this is what Theraphi is. It's just very experiential. You have the session, and then you tell me what you think.
And it's almost better that way to not condition the mind, so people can
Yes.
choose their own adventure. Like it's an exploratory thing.
Don't
You're really,
interference at all.
yeah.
They can have whatever it is they're going to have with Theraphi.
So would you say it's fair to say, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We've noticed that clients who come the first time, they're not sure what to expect, and they stay more in their mind, so they get less of an effect from Theraphi. And then after, when they come the second time, they know what to experience or what we're doing, and so they relax more and have a much better experience. So we recommend that most of our clients start with 5 sessions, and if they notice a change, that's good, and if they don't, that's okay too, right? So,
And,
Yeah.
and the number of people who don't really have much of an experience is so small.
yeah,
After 9
but
years.
there are some.
There are some, but we could probably count on 2 hands
Yeah.
at the most how many people have had that experience. There is always benefit.
Yeah.
Always.
And that's just the way nature is. I mean, nothing's 100% efficient, in nature. So it's like, there's always going to be like those outliers, but yeah, that's what I've seen. Even at places like events, I know I've said this in other like videos or whatever, but it just blows my mind every time we're at a noisy event with fluorescent lights, people pollution, jacked up on
Right.
coffee, at the worst possible way to experience 3 minutes of Therapy. And they still go deep. It's like wild to see it just in person. Like,
I know. We did for the first couple of years that we had it, we went to all the health shows
Mhm.
in the local area, and we found people in all that chaos would come out feeling, wow, do I ever feel better? Or, somebody's had an injury from years that they've been dealing with. It would be, they'd come out and say, well, I don't feel anything there anymore. It feels good. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. See, it doesn't seem to matter what's going on around it.
yeah, it's so true. And it kind of is like most things in life. I think at some level, it's like you have to be at that level to be ready for it. It's, not everybody's ready for everything all the time. It just depends on where you're at. And the people that are attracted to this are attracted to it for the right reasons. And, you could say maybe that's why they're, primed or ready to feel it with this type of subtle energy device. But I think it's one of the most profound instruments. That's why, I've become friends with Paul. I've always been a fan of his work and what he's done, and just being able to kind of be here, that was a synchronicity in and of itself. And it's just been really kind of a blessing, and like, right place at the right time type thing. And I really appreciate you guys, sharing your time, and you put so many years and energy into people and help with healing with this particular modality. It's really great to hear these stories, and I'm just grateful that you guys are sharing everything with everybody.
Well, thanks for the opportunity for letting us share. The more people need Theraphi, this world needs Theraphi. Everybody needs Theraphi, as far as I'm concerned. The operators and the clients alike.
Yep.
We're here to help this world, and what better way to do it than through Theraphi? I can't think of a better one personally.
I agree. I think it's the most sophisticated and profound electrotherapy instrument going. And of course, we know it's more than that. But so how can people find more about what you're doing, especially the pyramids? That's super cool. Like, we're going to get questions about that. So, like, how can people find out where you are and what you're doing?
Do you want to give them their website?
The website is NRG Wellness Group .ca.
And that's NRG Wellness
NRG, yeah.
Wellness Group.
Will our names show up on the screen there when you put this out?
Yeah, I'll make sure that people know how to find you guys, because I'm sure you're going to get some inquiries about pyramids.
Quite a comprehensive website with all the different modalities that we do. Say the pyramids, that's not on there anymore.
And you have pictures of the pyramid set up and everything?
I think we do. I think we have a picture with Paul and
sitting in the pyramid. Actually,
Sitting
hang
in
on.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to go check that out personally. So awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time, and looking
thank
forward
you
to
for-
chatting with you again.
for your interest, for allowing us
Thank you
to do
very
this.
much.